Specifically with your role as Chief Technology Officer at Tesco, what are the key objectives for a technologist at a retail company?
Ideas are products, and the CTO's role is to facilitate company-wide an ability to take product manifestations from across the company and transform them into executables in a meaningful way. And so the transformation at Tesco was to go from a CIO to a CTO to change the culture, not just in technology and what does technology mean, and the caliber of technologists, but also to change the company's mindset on how to go think about creating world-class and customer-pleasing products. And that is the transformation we're on.
Because Tesco has a history of looking at technology, but as you're saying, you're trying to take it to this different level.
Tesco has had a rich history of innovation in retail. And if I think about the loyalty programs, the scan as you shop, and there's a number of things where Tesco was leading in that arena. I think that what happens though is that the battle is different. It's at a different scale now. And therefore, those mega contributions of inventing a club card program, loyalty program, the scan as you shop, so on and so forth, are not sufficient. You have to kind of do that at a different pace now. And therefore, you have to kind of change and reframe how technology will be embedded in the business as opposed to technology being a separate island. And it's similarly, in a similar vein, it's like saying digital is not a vertical, it isn't a group, it isn't an officer. Digital is the company. Together, we have to kind of break through the barriers to create one organizational model that says, be brilliant at creating ideas, testing them out, innovating along the way, and then at the end of it, delighting customers, in our case, serving business shoppers a little bit better every day.
So a lot of companies, not just retailers, will view technology as a component, a go-to. We need a solution, let's go to technology guys, they'll come up with something, come back to us. What you're saying is we need to change all that, we've got to look at this whole idea of agile product development.
Online is easy. When we talk about IoT and you think about what the online experience has been for 25 years of being able to go instrument and measure, the biggest innovation that happened in online was the ability early on to gather data that was valuable and transform that data into action. Well, IoT, at its core, in the retail sector, is to provide that same data gathering fabric, that sensor fabric that has been missing. But when you think about that problem, what you have to ask yourself is, does Tony Hoggett, who runs our retail operations in our stores, does he think of our stores as a product? Does he think of the till as a product? Does he think of the aisle and the spacing as products, metaphorically? And then innovate each of those along whatever investment profile we deem is appropriate, as opposed to thinking that the products are really the bananas we put on the shelf and the fresh groceries, so on and so forth. And the mindset shift is everyone at the company has to think product, and then figure out what is the data you need to innovate that product, to reduce the life cycle and the investments required to go and test the edges and get customer feedback.
What progress have you made so far? How are you going about this?
When you come into a role and try to go from a CIO to a CTO mindset, the number one thing you're changing is culture. And culture not just in technology and technologists, but also the culture of the company and how to approach technology. And I would say that we're making progress in that when I speak to the board, when I speak to the executive teams, it's about how do we become agile product, not agile development. Agile development is not meaningful. But if you can get agile product thinking to be embedded across the company, you've not done magic. You've actually unleashed, not innovation, because innovation is overloaded, you've unleashed creativity in meaningful chunks that are executable. And you put creativity in the hands of everybody's responsibility as opposed to a lab's or a special few.
And how do you see the role of IoT here? Is IoT the network of sensors and the devices that's capturing the data, or is it the processing and analysis of that data into meaningful action?
What we are trying to do with IoT is solve a set of core business problems that have always existed. We're not trying to create new business problems. You know, the models are well known. So let me give you maybe 2 or 3 examples that cut across. We've been doing a lot of work in robotics to solve a classical problem in retail, and that's availability. How do you make sure that when a customer comes into our stores, they could actually find the product that they desire? Well, one way you can think is just hire more folks to go around and scan the aisles. One of the things we're piloting, and we've done some work with a couple of robotic companies, is to have robots go down the aisles take imagery of different types, and then figure out where are their gaps, and then provide that signal immediately to the replenishment teams in the store and upstream to start actually getting the replenishment cycle started. Well, if you can do that a couple of times a day, as opposed to once a day when you go at night and restock the shelves, you can actually ensure a higher availability. And then the final thing is, how do we connect with the customer at home? It's one thing to say connect with the customer in the store. It's obvious. That's core to our mission. But can we do something more than just offering an online shopping experience, right, where you go and fill your basket, so on and so forth? And so we're looking at different kinds of IoT devices, and there's a whole number of them where you just scan. You scan the product you just finished. You just finished a Tesco organic milk. Well, here, click, scan, it's in your basket, off you go. And clearly we've been able to do that with the mobile phone app, but are there other form factors that are equally conducive to having that immediate response, saying, oh, I just ran out, click, done, don't have to think about it, it'll be on the next order.
So is this the role of Tesco Labs to sort of throw a lot of ideas out, talk about things, come up with experiments, and basically see what happens on quite a small scale?
One of the core roles is to actually hypothesize what are the kind of interaction models in retail, what are the trends in retail, how does Tesco engage and benefit from those trends, how is it a leader in those trends as opposed to a laggard? If you're not innovating, there's a ton of companies out there that are pure plays metaphorically that are coming over the top and saying, I can go shop for you, I can go pick your own groceries, and I can deliver them for you from a Tesco, right? And our goal is to have the labs look at those opportunity spaces, hypothesize what we should try to experiment, but I would argue that's no different than if you're building the next generation of our online shopping experience. It's from an agile product methodology, you're hypothesizing what is the next thing to try, how are we going to measure that, what does success look like, and iterate that. So the labs are just one area that is acting like that traditionally, and we're trying to get the entire company to act like that.
Meg Whitman said that I took a note of there. She said every company is a technology company. Do you think every company realizes this yet?
No. Meg's spot on, as they say in the UK. Every company that doesn't have a technology capability will become a laggard at some point, because you won't be able to compete at the time scales required. The trick is how to make that a positive thing as opposed to a threat. Oh my gosh, we're not a technology company, we're not Amazon, we're not Google. And you don't have to be Amazon and Google, because that's what comes to mind. What the vision you have is, oh my gosh, we have to figure out how to get there. And rather, what the thesis is, you have to figure out how to view first technology as a strategic weapon, not as a cost and a need of doing business. Second, you have to figure out how to embed technology at the table with the product creation as opposed to just an execution arm once products have been quote unquote envisioned. There's a ratcheting up of experiences because we as customers are expecting brilliance from the people we interact with, right? The Apples, the Googles, the Amazons and as such have all kind of upped the game in terms of the experiences that customers are expecting. And therefore, if you don't have a technology capability and you don't think you need that as your core, you cannot compete and meet customer expectations.
Edmond, thank you very much indeed.
Well, thank you.